today on the bench, we've got this little terminal. It's got a video out here. It's pretty old school. DB25 serial. It's an ACT-I by Microterm Incorporated. I think it's just a simple little ASCII terminal. I picked this up at the Mike and Key Ham Fest over the weekend. Gave $1 for it. Actually got two of them at $1 a piece. At $1, I couldn't pass them up. I've used some Windex to just kind of clean it off. They were very dusty and dirty. But I thought we'd open it up, take a look inside, and maybe power it up and see if it works. So it looks like screws. Check the camera, make sure we're on camera here. I would assume, pretty typical of this era, the 4 feet come off. I would guess the center screw here as well. Just take a little peek at what we've got. I have no real expectation of what's inside. I would expect maybe a little microcontroller of some kind. Serial line driver. It's probably a parallel ASCII keyboard, though I don't necessarily know that. Now, as expected, the top just kind of rocks back. Interesting. So there's what looks like a parallel data cable here. Again, hopefully this is somewhat on camera. Let me look. Sorry. There's what appears to be a parallel data cable here. I'm guessing the serial data in out is actually on the keyboard. I can see that goes down to pin 2 and 3 and 7 on the DB25, which should be data in, out, and ground. There's a little logic board here, an AY5 1013A, date code 13th week of 78. It might be like a microcontroller of some kind, I'm not really sure. Bunch of TTL logic. This is probably the character generator ROM. It looks like an MC2708P. Might actually just be a regular ROM. I'm not sure. I have to check part numbers. Let me verify that part number again. MC2708P and AY5 1013A. Surprisingly little inside of it. Just a video output. Chassis is obviously ground. There's a 7805 up under the board here, which is obviously the voltage regulator. Looking to see if there's a diode bridge anyplace. Probably this little set of diodes right here. The connection to the voltage regulator and the transformer are both on the same connector. Little rotary switch here. It looks like 110 baud, 300, 600, 1200, 2400, 4800, 9600 baud. And there's a 1920 here, so 19.2 K baud potentially. Jumper for 19 2K baud, and that jumper's open, so obviously it can't do that speed. 16x clock. Not a lot of other configuration on it. Pretty standard construction for the era. It doesn't look like it's been wet inside. That board doesn't look square to me. Well, maybe it is. you know, pretty standard construction, like I said, for the era, with this date code being 13th week of 78. Obviously this was built in the late 70s. Same information, ACT-1A, Microterm Incorporated, Revision A. Copyright 1978, it looks like. It's hard to see there. Etched in the copper. There's some additional stuff up here, normal. See, serial polarity, invert, out, normal. So in this case, both the normal straps are jumped, and the inverts actually have a break in the copper. Essentially a loop back, tie point. Looks like it could have been another one of these headers soldered in here to bring the data out. Not 100% sure here. I mean, this cable to me kind of says parallel ASCII just because of the width of it, but I could be wrong. I don't want to stress all of this. I'd like to pull the keyboard out and take a better look at it. I'm just debating how to do that and not create undue stress on these cables. Yep, lots of shuffling here. So it looks like there's just 3 screws, or 4 screws holding that keyboard assembly in place. Let's go ahead and see if we can break these loose. Walk that out of there for a minute, take a peek at what's on it, and then I'll get some video hooked up, and we'll see what kind of output it has. I got somebody here just to spin these. Say for $1, felt like I couldn't go wrong. Assumed it was a parallel ASCII keyboard. They're rather rare in today's world. Most keyboards are serial. You know, I do have some S100 stuff in my collection, and this might make a really good terminal for an S100 machine. Those 2 are long, these 2 are short. I can fish him out of there. And of course I dropped him onto the floor. Always drop a screw on the floor. It wouldn't be the ShadowTron blog if I didn't drop a screw. It's an AY5 2376. I'll have to look the chip up. A 4028 and a 4011. I have no idea where like the level shifters are for the RS-232. Boy, there's really not a lot here. Based on the number of actually used pads here, I'm guessing this is actually just plain a serial keyboard. So the width of the cable, I mean, a serial keyboard would be fine on like an old S100 machine. Honestly, if you're using an 8-bit port to read the keyboard, you need parallel, but if you're just using a RS-232 port, serial is absolutely fine because it's what RS-232 is. Yeah, the majority of the pins on that little 16-pin ribbon cable are not used. I see we're obviously, it's likely power and ground coming up. Well, it's interesting. The keyboard's reasonably clean. The action is okay. I am maybe at some point do a tear down of it. clean the keycaps, etc. We'll see. Of course, most of the guts of this thing are the video driver. You know, it just may be dedicated hardware down there to generate video. I don't know. Of course, this is going to be a little perstickety, if that's a word. Get these screws to start. And let me see if I can spot the one that hit the floor. It's amazing how screws always straight to the floor. Apparently I picked up a little something with it off the floor. Anyhow, you know, I could be very anal here and jump in and check the supply rails. Makes me wonder what the serial levels on it are, whether they're actually RS-232 or TTL compatible, just because I don't see any level shifters. Which means it may not be TTL compatible, or true RS-232 compatible, and maybe just be logic level serial. With that sitting up right like that, I need to figure out a way to get video to the monitor here. Which is going to be accomplished with a couple of clip leads. Not the most elegant solution, but a workable solution. We'll bring ground out. And we'll bring video out. Just kind of the front here. Just kind of set the top back on. The cables are all connected fine. Apologies that you can't see this. Boy, I've got glare coming in the window. I've got an old school monochrome monitor. Happens to still be up there from the Pixie project. I'm going to assume this is just outputting composite video. I think that's a pretty good guess. Monitor should be on. I have no way of knowing which way is on that power switch. Do a little tap test, listen for popping components, and I don't hear anything. And we have video. We've got a raster and just a cursor. So let me put a loop back wire in. We can find a little piece of wire here on the bench. By taking pins 2 and 3 and just jumping them together, it just becomes a little loop back test. The data you're sending out immediately comes back in. Get the gap on those down to something reasonable. And pins 2 and 3 are there and there. Should be. Oh no. Pins 2 and 3 should actually be there. Let's take a little peek inside. And nope, I'm still not on 2 and 3. Wow, it's been a long time since I've looked at a serial connector. And we have loop back. So significant key bounce on some of the keys. It's very much old school terminal. I need line feed to shift a line. Enter just simply brings it back to the beginning of the line. No surprise. Apologies that you can't see the screen here. Caps lock works. Well, I have a clear screen works. Rub out. Video's not the cleanest, but the way I've got the unshielded mess here. Well, this probably isn't going to be much of a video. For $1, it's not bad. I'm going to tweak on the... Oh, that's better. I brought the contrast way down on the monitor. That crisped it up quite a bit. Anyhow, not really much else to tell here. It was $1. For $1, it was worth it. I think just gives me a little video terminal here. I'll probably put an RCA video jack on the back just to make it easier to hook up rather than that screw style connector. And I guess we'll call this good. Can we do a Control G and get the bell? We can. Yes, even says bell on the key, but Control G back in the day was the bell, so we know a little speaker works. There's a couple of keys labeled here, VT and form feed. I'd have to look in the little manual for it. Let's see, Control C should send it. It may be sending a break, but it's not being interpreted by anything. It's just loop back. That's interesting. Just doesn't have a character for it. The closed curly brace. Open curly brace puts something on the screen, but the closed doesn't. Tilde doesn't. Don't know if it's incapable of displaying those or what, but anyhow, there's a 10-minute look at a mini teardown of a little simple serial terminal from the late 70s.